Good evening. Yoga practice. So in yoga and in life, the state of your breath is a physical embodiment of the state of your mind, which might sound like a strange thing because breath is very ethereal. It exists in the part of your body where there is no body. However, it's definitely physical. You can feel your breath, you can hear your breath. It has power. It has the power to animate your chest. And if you're unaware of your breath, there's basically a mind-breath disconnect. And that may feel like life's coming at you. The breath becomes reactionary. So the practice of yoga is the practice of breath awareness, and we try and strengthen that mind-breath connection. So the first thing we do is we bind our breath. We self-impose a limitation where we don't breathe through our mouth, we breathe through our nose, which restricts the airflow. It filters the air. It boosts the prana, the vital energy in your body. I can't understate what a difference it makes to breathe through your air, through your nose. And it holds your attention. It forces you to improve the quality of your breath. Slower, deeper, fuller breath. So it becomes a conscious breath instead of a reactionary breath. And that feels a whole lot different. It's more like instead of life coming at you, it feels more like life's coming from you. So with the practice of breath, namaste, I have a great practice. Let's get onto our mats, right at the back of the mat, toes touching together at the back of the mat, knees wide apart. I'm on the tops of my feet and I'm reaching as far forward as possible. On my fingertips, hands are really broad, so there's space for your shoulders to broaden. Elbows are lifting, putting your groins back and sinking and pressing your groins down and your belly button down. If you want, you can rest your forehead on the ground. Really focus on the breath, breathing deep into the belly button, lengthening out the back of your body. So we're trying to stretch from sitting bones to wrists. Feel into that nice inner compression. Maybe set some kind of an intent for this practice. Bring your attention to your hips and lift your hips and move them forward. You're on the flats of your flat hands now. Tuck your toes, press your shoulders forward, pull your hips back, and slowly straighten your legs, pressing your thighs back. And you use the thigh as giant levers to pull your hips back, stretching out your torso. Tiptoe your feet together in the center of the mat and lift your heels as high as possible. Lift your hips as high as possible. Lift your ribs a little bit and see if you can get more extension back. Pulling away from your wrists, pulling your thigh bones back. Keep you're on high tiptoes, your heels keep lifting. Bend your knees as deep as possible. Keep the heels lifting. Bend the knees, pulling the hips back. Not for long, 1 or 2 more breaths. Okay, knees down. Knees are together, shins are together, ankles are together. Right leg straight out behind you. Reach back into the heel. Lift your ribs, lift your whole torso. So everything's pulling away from the mat. We're trying to get a horizontal torso and leg as high as possible. Reaching forward with the left arm. So now you're stretching from the right heel to the left fingertips, asymmetrically through the whole body. Lift the foot and the hand a little bit more. Back down to neutral. Knees are together, hands are broadly spread on the mat. Left leg straight out behind you, reaching to the heel, right arm forward. Visualize increasing the distance between the heel and the fingertips. Lift your ribs, lift your whole torso, lift the thigh. Keep stretching for distance. Okay, hands down back to neutral. Knees and shins are hip width apart now. Straighten the legs, downward dog, pressing the thighs back. Make sure your mouth is closed. Big, powerful breath through the nose. Try and keep your attention on the breath as much as possible. Just appreciate what's going on and observing. Devote your full attention to this practice. Tiptoe your feet together in the center of the mat. You're on high tiptoes. Lift the right leg up, reaching up into the heel. Holding it there for a couple of breaths. Lower that top leg. You're on high tiptoes. Lift the left leg up. Stretching up into the heel. 3 or 4 good long breaths. You're on high tiptoes on the standing leg. Lower the feet together, knees down, wide apart. You're on the tops of the feet. Fingertips lifting the elbows and sink your groins down. Okay, back up into all fours, tuck your toes, downward dog. Tiptoe your feet together in the center of the mat. Lift your right ankle onto your left knee. Now your left leg, the standing leg, you're on high tiptoes. Pulling the hips back, pulling that top lifted shin back. Shin is kind of parallel to the back of the mat. Pull the shin back and pull the hips back. Bringing in a little bit of asymmetry to the situation. Try and lengthen out the back of your spine, like the back of your body. Okay, switch sides. Left ankle on your right knee. Your right standing leg's on high tiptoes. You're pulling your hips back, you're pulling that shin back. Okay, feet together. Slowly walk up the center line of the mat, all the way to the top. When you get to the top of the mat, grab your ankles wherever you are. Press your elbows forward. Doesn't matter how far down you go. You're actually trying to lengthen from your sitting bones to your shoulders. From your sitting bones to the top of your head. So we're lengthening out the back of our body. If you want to bend the knees slightly, that's okay. Activate your toes by lifting them if possible. Okay, hands are down on a flat, on the mat, wide apart, like shoulder width apart or more. Step back to plank. Your feet are as far back as you can. You're on tiptoes. Your heels are as far away from your shoulders as possible. Stretch your heels away from your shoulders. The eyes of your elbows are not locked. They're kind of facing each other. So if they bend, then they bend outwards. Okay, knees down. Flip over onto the tops of your feet. Lift the thighs. Activate the thighs as high as possible. Chest pressing forward. Shoulders on the side of your body or even pulling a little bit back. Upward dog. Okay, knees wide apart, toes touching, all the way back to child's pose. You're on fingertips, your elbows are lifting. Back up to all fours. Tuck your toes, downward dog. Bend your knees deeply and on the inhale, jump forward, land your feet together. You're on fingertips on the hands, your hands are alongside the feet, ideally next to the heels, if you can get them that far. Step your right foot back big distance, as far as you can go. Now that front left knee is over the ankle, directly over the ankle, like sideways, but also like in terms of forward and back. And then get a vertical foot behind there as far back as you can, driving that thigh up, reaching the heel back. Nice, symmetrical, asymmetrical forward lunge. Okay, we're going to step forward and switch sides. Take the front knee's location over the ankle. Play with the height of the hips as you stretch back to that back heel. Okay, step forward. Place your hands behind your back. Toes are lifting. Relax your neck so that the back of your neck is long. Stay here and breathe. Hips are lifting. As your toes lift, can you visualize your hips lifting? Okay, bend the knees, lead from the shoulders and stand up. Reach up, stretch up. You're rooting down to the ground with the soles of your feet. Hips are stretching up, shoulders are lifting, you're stretching right up to the fingertips. Stretch on the inhale. Exhale, release. Okay, standing feet hip width apart. Knees bent, arms up. Imagine you're on a chair, but there's no such thing. Utkatasana, chair pose. Play with your ribs so you're not too bowed. Try and get your ribs and your shoulders stacked up over your hips. Okay, we're in a prayer now, sinking the forearms down to the knees. Check that your feet are parallel and your toes are lifting. Gaze down so you can lengthen the back of your spine all the way to the top of your neck. Holding it here, breathing. Sometimes it's good to hold the pose, really grounding. Hands down wide apart, step back to plank. Hips are lifting. You're on high tiptoes, hips are lifting. Imagine there's a rope underneath your hips pulling you towards the ceiling. And now it's pulling you back. Pull the hips back away from the wrists. Tiptoe your feet into the center of the mat. You're on high tiptoes. Reach the right leg up. Visualize the heel and the ball of your foot, that line on the inside of the foot. Activate that, really lift it up. Okay, sweep that top leg between the front hands, knee bent. Half pigeon. Our back knee, if you need to rest it, you can on the ground, but ideally lift the back knee, so we're lifting. We're using the strength of the back leg, the thighs driving up, hips are lifting, using the strength of the thighs. Arms out to the side. There's lift, reach up. Back thigh still pressing up. I'm going to hold it for a while so the adjustments can take place. We're in a prayer. Hands down, step back smoothly to downward dog. Feet are together. Lift the left leg, reaching up into the heel. And high tiptoes on the standing leg. Top leg sweeps through with a bent knee. Have we just done this side? I may have, repeated one side. I'm not sure if I'm correct or incorrect. Switch sides to see if you've done both sides. That sometimes happens. You'll feel the difference. Okay, step back to downward dog. Walk all the way up the center line of the mat. Feet are together. Step your right foot back, big distance. Knee down. Arms up. Now imagine there's a giant moon on the back, resting on the back of your leg. You're getting stretched back over that moon. Okay, now reach tall, 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 tall. We're in a prayer, a nice firm prayer. Fingers are spread broadly. Forearms are a straight line and there's a pressure. I'm pressing my hands vigorously into each other. Right elbow onto that left knee. Pull the back elbow back. And just keep that active prayer. My back elbow is directly behind the front elbow. Lifting my torso. I'm using the elbow against the front knee as leverage. And I'm giving a nice twist. Okay, release. Hands down, step forward, feet together, other side. Left leg back, big distance, dropping the knee. Arms up. Stretch up. Now you want to look up and bend back first. And then back up to center. Nice firm prayer, forearms on a nice straight line. Left elbow on the right knee. Now you can see it a bit clearer. Often we're up like this. In this pose, I'm going to pull the back elbow back away from the front elbow. And I'm trying to get my torso up to vertical. But I'm kind of pressing forward with my hips. Okay, release. Step forward, feet are together. Integrate your hands behind your back. Lengthen out the back of your body, the back of your neck. Bend the knees, lead from the shoulders all the way up. Nice, just check in. Are we transmitting? Yes, we are. Okay, let's plant a tree. Change the rhythm. Balancing on one leg. Starting on my left foot, I'm lifting my right sole up onto the inner thigh. Heel as high as possible. And the heel is forward of the toe box. Visualize rooting down through the standing leg. There's a strong line lifting up the hip all the way to the top of my head. Arms out to the side, palms facing up for enhanced balance if you want to reach up. To the treetop canopy, stretch up, root down, lengthen the standing line. That top knee is putting back. Focus on your breath, breathing through the nose. Try and slow the whole thing down. Perhaps you're focusing on a spot in front of you. Can you feel a bit more subtle? Maybe switch sides. That Ujjayi breath, breathe deeply through your nose, you actually kind of restrict it so that you can hear more. Can you hear your breath? You kind of tense in your breath. It allows you to feel the air with like enhanced volume. Okay. Feet together at the center of the mat. Knees bent, arms up, Utkatasana. Hands down alongside your ankles. Step your right foot back, big distance, front lunge again. And we're going to go into a reverse side angle pose. So we're going to lift our left arm. Visualize moving from your left shoulder and then the elbow and lastly the hand all the way up. Chest is lifting. So we move from the core, we move from the inside out, we move the large bones first. And then the periphery we stretch last. Lifting up. Hips are lifting, back thighs lifting up. Okay, reach that top arm forward as an extension of the back leg. So you're one long straight line. You're facing the front now. Hand down, switch sides, step forward with a straight leg. Left foot back, big distance. Deep front lunge, front knee is over the ankle. Visualize moving from your right shoulder and the elbow all the way up to the fingertips. Lift up, hips lift up. Back thigh drives up. Reaching forward with that top hand. Step forward with a straight leg, step back with the other leg straight away, right leg back, big distance. Shoulders are lifting. Okay, drop the back heel to the ground, right arm up. Side angle pose on the front side. The front knees bent deeply, reaching up to the top hand. Looking up, hips are lifting. Top hand down, step forward, feet are together. Left leg back, big distance. First, a nice structured front lunge. Front knees over the ankle. Sole of your foot's as far back as you can get. Drop the heel so the back foot's 90 degrees. Left shoulder, elbow, arm up. Hips lift. hand down, step forward. Bend your knees, reach forward with the arms. Hands on the hips. Up you come. Nice. Tadasana, mountain pose. A nice structured straight stand. Catch your breath. If you're dizzy or out of breath, give yourself time for the breath to get back to a relaxed state so your enthusiasm can build for the next set. Okay, we're going to do some side angle poses, triangle poses. So I'm going to try and move deliberately. Stepping my right leg back, I lift the knee, step back with a straight leg. Both legs are straight now. Front foot is parallel to the side of the mat, exactly. Back foot's parallel to the back of the mat. Don't lock the knee, there's a micro bend there, even though the legs are straight. Arms, hands on your hips to start off. Now visualize stretching the mat. Don't just visualize it, do it. Press your feet into the mat so you get a little bit of a micro lift in the hips. That freedom in those joints is what we're looking for. Arms parallel to the mat. Lift your shoulders, gaze over the front hand. Keep stretching the mat, hips are lifting, shoulders are lifting. Hands are higher than your shoulders, fingers are spread. You're facing in front, your jaw is relaxed. You're ready. Okay, straight back hand on the back leg, front hand up, and you increase the distance between the fingertips so there's a stretch. You might feel the corresponding stretch in the hips. There's a movement in the hips as you stretch asymmetrically through the shoulders like this. Okay, back to parallel, and now front hand onto the front ankle. Stretching up. Everything else is lifting. You're grabbing that shin or ankle, but there's lift. There's lift in the hips. There's lift in the shoulders. Look to the side. Those hips are pulling back. There's an opening here in the chest. Keeping that, bend the front knee deeply. So you're coming into side angle pose from the top. Feels a bit different. Top hand goes forward and you lift that ankle hand behind you. Now swing back to warrior two. Step forward. Nice. Feet together in the center of the mat, moving deliberately. Left foot back, big distance. Front foot parallel, bisects the back foot on the back of the mat. Hands on your hips. Make sure your knees are straight but not locked, so you've got a lift in the hips. Arms are parallel to the mat. Shoulders are lifting, hands are higher than your shoulders. Fingers are spread. Stretch the mat, lift the hips. Back hand on the back leg. Lift up to the top hand as high as you can. As far down back leg as you can with the other hand. It's a compromise between the back hand going down and the top hand going up. Find the balance there. Play with different levels. Okay, arms are parallel back to the mat. Front hand down onto the shin, stretching up to the top hand. Hips pulling back. There's activation. Breath should be firing. But it may be calm. Okay, bend that front knee deeply. Back leg is straight, reaching up to the top hand. The ankle hand reaches behind you, the front top hand reaches forward, almost like a discus being thrown. Now we're going to pirouette back to warrior two. Back to neutral. Nice. Let's do Trikonasana, the triangle pose on the reverse side. Every surf has to know how to surf backhand. So, right foot back. This time we the back foot isn't 90 degrees, it might be 45 degrees. So there's kind of a bit more of a forward rotation on the hips. Arms out to the side. And like triangle pose, but it's not on the front side, there's a bit of a rotation here. So that right arm goes forward down to the left ankle. Hips are lifting and pulling back. And stretch up to the top hand. You can look down or you can look to the side. You really don't want your legs to be locking here. Pull your hips back and lift. Visualize lifting the shoulders. It'll stabilize you. And kind of rotate up out of it. Other side. Step forward. Left foot back, leg distance. Arms out to the side. Left arm down to the right ankle. Reverse Trikonasana. Power breath. Inhale, there's somebody holding the top hand, pulling you up. Up you come. Step forward. Okay, let's plant another tree. Balancing on my left foot. Right heel high up on the thigh. Heel is forward of the toe box and knee is pulling back. Arms up. Prayer. Can get a little bit of a bend in the knee, the standing knee. Just a little bit. Feels different. Release. Other side. Find your balance, grow a tall tree. Pray for steadiness and bend the standing leg a little bit. Release. Okay, let's take that one a little bit deeper. Right ankle on the left knee. My toes are lifting here, so there's activity. I'm in a prayer and I'm bringing my forearms down to the shin. Keep that top foot active, it'll really help stabilize. Release. Other side. Release. Back to the front of the mat, feet together. Synchronize the breath to the movement. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, the flat back, pull your hips back. Hands down, wide apart. Step back to plank. Keeping your elbows alongside your body. So bending backwards. Chaturanga. Press up. Roll them to the tops of your feet, upward dog. Thighs are lifting. Back onto all fours. Tuck your toes, downward dog. Lengthen the back of your body. Give yourself 5 good breaths. Synchronize the stretch to your inhale. Use the power of the breath in your lungs to pull back in the diaphragm, to stretch your body back. High tip toes, bend your knees. Inhale, jump forward. Bend your knees and reach forward. Lift your shoulders all the way up. Release. Mountain pose. Knees bent, arms up. Hands down alongside your ankles. Step your left foot back big distance, and it's 45 degrees. The foot is at 45 degrees. The sole of the foot is flat. The foot's kind of angled out. Front knee's bent deeply, so it's over the knee. Lift your torso and interlace your hands behind your back. Now there's independent lift in your chest. Your shoulders are pulling up and back. It's almost like you're going to take off. Lift your shoulders all the way up. Let go of the hands and stretch up to the ceiling. That back thigh is pulling back vigorously, but the front knee is still anchored over that ankle. Hands down alongside the ankle. Step forward to the back leg. Back with the other side. Front knee over the ankle. Back foot's far back at 45 degrees. Interlace your hands behind your back. Lift the torso and lengthen from the back heel to the top of your head. Lift the shoulders, arms up, back thighs driving back vigorously. Prayer, down. Step forward, bend the knees, reach forward with the arms. Hands on the hips, up you come. Let's keep the flow, knees bent, arms up. Diving forward with straight legs, hands are wide apart at the front of the mat. Bend the knees down, lift the hips and spring back to plank. Down, chaturanga, upward dog. Downward dog, one smooth motion. Okay, now we're going to come into it from the other side. Step your left foot at 45 degrees, ready, grind the heel back. Lift the right leg, reaching up into the heel. Bring the knee to the chest and step the forward foot between the hands. Up you come. Back thighs driving back. We're in a prayer. Deep inhale. Exhale, hands down, step back to plank, all the way down to chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. One smooth motion. Right foot 45 degrees. Left leg reaches up, step forward between the hands. Inhale, arms up, stretch up. Prayer, deep inhale. Move on the exhale, all the way down to chaturanga. Inhale up. Inhale, downward dog. Walk slowly up the center line of the mat. Okay, when you get to the top, let's do that curtsy maneuver. So left knee hooks behind the front ankle. And you're trying to get it kind of almost as far around as possible. Strange move. You're on the shin of this back foot and the top of the foot. Tricky to balance. Find your balance, link it to the breath. Stretch up. Root down to the sole of the foot and to the knee and the shin so that you can get lift in the hips. Prayer. And now we're going to swap left elbow to the right knee. Use the leverage against the knee. Press firmly hand to hand. Pulling the hips back. Lengthen the spine. Try and lengthen both sides of the spine, on the left and the right of the spine. Okay, release the hands and one smooth motion, sit down. Keep the feet and the knees hooked where they are. Arms up. Prayer. Left elbow to the right knee. Similar situation. We're rooting down into our sitting bones. We're reaching up through our shoulders. Maybe you want to pull that back shoulder, back elbow behind the front elbow. So the elbow's not up, everything's kind of parallel to the floor now. We're trying to get our shoulders above our hips. Lift and twist. Lift on the inhale, twist on the exhale. Play around with moving the spine through that twisted position. Can you rotate it around the various axes that you might feel? Okay, enough geometry. Lift up, step forward, feet are together. Curtsy the right knee behind the left foot. Hook it like solidly around the foot. So it's like kind of the front of my knees kind of halfway up the outside of the foot. Reaching up. Right elbow to the left knee. In this position, the elbows are stacked on top of each other. It's the sitting one where the elbows are behind each other. So the elbows are on top of each other and we're lifting our shoulders, pressing our sitting bones back, lifting up to the top of the head. You should feel it. I'm sure you do. Okay, release the hands and sink the groins down, keeping the feet, foot and knee where they are. Stretching up. Prayer, left elbow to right knee. Now pull that right elbow that's behind the left elbow. The prayer is vertical. I'm pressing hard into the hands, elbows traction into the knee, and I'm twisting. Inhale, I lift up. Exhale, I commit more to the twist. Release. Okay, we're slowing down. Coming into land. Feet are together. We're sitting. Legs up, extended out. Sole of the right foot up on the inside of the left thigh. Use your fingers and actually broaden your buttocks. Like pull your butt cheeks wider so that your sitting bones move apart, which allows more rotation in the hips. We want our spine to be vertical or forward of vertical in the lower back. Doesn't matter where you're at, everyone's at a different degree of stiffness. So activate in the direction of the cues and it should feel therapeutic for you. So here, the front leg is active. The toes lifting. Lifting your toes activates the leg. This thigh is pressing down. Thighs pressing down. I'm reaching up. Can you visualize activating in that left sitting bone? You really press it down. All the weight is now on that left sitting bone. Press down. Press the other sitting bone down too now. Both of them are reaching down as you stretch up. Okay, slide your hands forward along the shin. If you can go all the way to the big toe, that's great, and because you can grab it nicely, but it doesn't matter where you're at. You can even like use a belt or hold on your shin. I'm grabbing my toe. Now the toe is pulling away because that's activation, but I'm pulling back. Shoulders are lifting, pressing down on the thigh. There's like a triangle here. The leg, the arms, and the torso. You see the triangle? Grow the triangle. Mostly focusing on lengthening the torso. Thigh pressing down, shoulders lifting up. Focus on the breath. I'm not moving anywhere, but there's full activation. I'm like a elastic band being pulled. I'm really pressing and binding and activating against my own body. Release. In the beginning, that pose for me years ago felt frozen, like there was no motion there. As you just sit in it and activate it, practice it a few times, you might feel some movement if this is new to you. I know some people are tuned in who are old hands, experienced. But everyone's on a different level of the kind of everyone's on a different level of stiffness and fitness. But it could be therapeutic anywhere along the journey, and it is therapeutic anywhere along the journey. Okay, other side. Broadening our sitting bones, activating that triangle. Press thighs pressing down, shoulders lifting. Other side again. Different pose. Lifting my right heel with my right hand, underhand on the inside. Now this isn't really a challenging situation for your lower back, so you really want to be rising up with your torso. It's more important to activate in the torso than what's going on with the leg. So there's lift in my lower back. This just makes it a bit harder. Kind of grabbing the foot on the outside And there's an axis here. There's like a pole. Imagine it's like moving the foot up and down the pole. And so you want to get your foot as high as your face, ideally, and you're pulling it towards you while you're pressing away from your knee. We're trying to practice this rotation in the hip. So, if your foot's lower down, that's fine. Press the knee forward and bind. Pull the foot towards you. Further press the knee forward. You might find some activation happening in the lower back and the hip structure. Hips are designed to have this kind of three-dimensional rotation, but we don't use it, so we lose it. We're trying to regain that. So I'm really lifting my torso, and I'm pulling the sole of my foot towards my forehead. And bind the foot. How about that? Now the shin, parallel to the front of the mat. Lift. Rotate sideways. Swing it from side to side like you're rocking a baby in a cradle. Nurturing your hips. Okay, keep the knee pressing away. Pull the foot down onto the other thigh, half lotus. And really stretch out that front leg. Doesn't matter where you're here. If you're not in a full half lotus, that's fine. And if you want to just have the foot out to the side again, that's also fine. It's just taking it slightly deeper if you want to go there. Stretch up. Now left arm reaches behind your back and grabs that right toe. Grab the front big toe. Lift on the inhale and twist over to the right side. We're going to keep the knee where it is, but we're going to change the rotation of the twist. So right arm up. Hang on. Right arm crosses your body and grabs on the outside of that front shin. Left arm reaches up. And you press down into your sitting bones. Now that top left arm, bring it down behind your back and reach round. Grab the t-shirt, or if you can, grab like your linen on your thigh, or your thigh itself. And if you're super flexy, you can go all the way around to that front shin. Doesn't matter where, just grab on. Lift and twist. Release. Other side. Okay, it's a bit technical, because this is quite a traditional set of moves. Left hand grabs underneath the left heel. There's lift in the lower back. Pulling the foot to the center line and practicing movement here. I'm lifting it, lowering it, pressing the knee away from me, pulling the sole of the foot towards my forehead. It's a gesture of humility to bring your forehead, your face towards your own feet. Bring the top of the foot onto the other thigh. That knee presses forward. If there's any clicking or really like sharp discomfort in the knee, really come out of it immediately. You've got to take it easy with this knee stuff. Be gentle, but you really do want to reintroduce some mobilization to the knee. Okay, left arm up. Reach the left arm behind your back and grab that right big toe area. Right hand grabs the right big toe. Now I'm lifting in my shoulders and I'm twisting over to the left side. Other side. Left hand grabs the right shin, gets some leverage there. Right arm, backhand goes up, stretches up, and then tucks behind your back and grabs that front thigh, or the linen on your shorts, or whatever you're wearing. Lift and twist. Release. Soles of your feet together. Knees wide apart. Bring your groins as far up to the heels as possible. Grab underneath your feet like you're holding a book. Knees pressing down, pulling up. So you're binding length through your torso. Pressing the knees down, trying to get height up into the shoulders. Okay. Keep the feet together, move them forward so there's like a nice big rectangle here. Broaden your sitting bones. Cup your feet, lower your forehead to your soles of your feet. Good time to make a wish. Gently come up. And let's end off with a little bit of breathing and sitting. I'm rolling up my mat to give me a little bit of lift. It's quite nice to sit on something, or a pile of books. It allows you to make sure that the spine is forward or vertical. If you imagine ripples on the surface of a lake, we're now going to just give it a few moments. No more stimulation. The ripples on the surface of the lake can settle. Enhance the clarity. Scan your body and your face. Relax your forehead and your eyeballs, your jaw. Try and cultivate a sense of contentment right now. We're just going to sit and observe like a witness. We don't have to do anything. We just have to witness. Witness your breath. Play your breath like a violin. Long, slow strokes. Demand more attention, one nostril at a time. Use your thumb and your last two fingers like a crab claw. Block your right nostril. Inhale deeply through the left. Switch on the exhale. Inhale through the same nostril. Switch on the exhale. Inhale through the same nostril. Don't be afraid to be noisy. This hand is resting, relaxed up. There's lift in the elbow. We're symmetrical. Keep the rhythm going. It's an A-frame breath. Blowing the nostril on the exhale, you switch to blow the nostril open. Inhale through the same nostril. Now, can you keep the same depth of breath, but quieten it down, more subtle? Final round. Rest your wrists and your knees. Relax your face. Bless your sweat. Namaste. Thanks for practicing together. I wish you a fantastic evening and hope to see you again, same time again next week. practice. Thank you.